Most of us avoid money conversations because they feel loaded with guilt, shame, and the weight of not knowing enough. As women, we've often been taught to shrink in this arena, to downplay our desires, be grateful for whatever we have, and definitely not ask for more, especially in the workplace. But here's what I've learned. Money isn't dirty, it isn't selfish, and it's definitely not separate from your values. Money is like a mirror. Hi there, I'm Wendy Rimmelsbacher, and welcome to the podcast show Dim to Daring. Do you feel like there's something bigger waiting for you, but you're not sure how to make it happen? You're in the right place. I'm here to bring you inspiring stories, powerful insights, and practical strategies to help you reignite your spark, realign with your purpose, and take those bold steps towards the life you were meant to live. Let's dive in, because you're not finished yet. You're just getting started. Hi, friend. Welcome back to Dim to Daring. I'm so glad you're here. If you've been craving more confidence in any area of your life, today's episode is going to serve you well, because what we're talking about today touches everything. Your decisions, your relationships, your dreams, and yes, even your sense of self-worth. We're talking about money. Okay, before your shoulders tense up, take a breath with me. This isn't a guilt trip or a math lesson. There's never any shame on this show. We're not here to obsess over spreadsheets, as much as I love a helpful spreadsheet, and we're also not here to beat ourselves up over past purchases. We're here to get real, because money isn't just about numbers. It's about your mindset, emotion, and your identity. And if you've been feeling lost, behind, or even shamed about your finances, I need you to hear this. You're not broken. You are so not alone. Now let's get the obvious out of the way. Yes, the fundamental rule is spending less than you bring in. But here's what I want you to know. Life has seasons. You know what I'm talking about here. Sometimes you're building, sometimes you're investing in yourself, sometimes unexpected things happen. Credit and loans can be essential tools for getting ahead when used thoughtfully. This conversation isn't about perfection or overwhelming you with all or nothing thinking. It's about giving you strategies to start somewhere, knowing that new life pressures will happen right in the midst of getting your finance house in order. And that's completely normal. Trust me, it happens to everyone. The goal is to build healthy habits that become your best defense against whatever life throws your way. So I was talking to a friend last week who said, I just feel like everyone else has figured it out, and I'm over here avoiding my credit card statement like it's going to bite me. Can you relate? That feeling of being the only one who doesn't have her financial life together? Here's what I told her and what I'm telling you now. That feeling is so much more common than you think. And more importantly, it's not a character flaw. It's just information that tells us it's time to step into a different relationship with money. This conversation is one of the essential pieces for stepping fully into your potential. Because when you find peace with money, you create the clarity and freedom to make bold decisions that support the future you're building. Here's what I know. Most of us avoid money conversations because they feel loaded with guilt, shame, and the weight of not knowing enough. As women, we've often been taught to shrink in this arena, to downplay our desires, be grateful for whatever we have, and definitely not ask for more, especially in the workplace. Think about the messages you heard growing up. Maybe it was, money doesn't grow on trees, or we can't afford that, or we can't live like they do. Maybe you learned that talking about money was impolite or that wanting more made you feel alienated from your family. But here's what I've learned. Money isn't dirty. It isn't selfish. And it's definitely not separate from your values. If you think of it, money is like a mirror. It reflects what you prioritize, who you're becoming, and how much you believe you're worthy of more. It shows us where we're aligned with our values and where we're not. So if you've been shrinking around money, this is your invitation to stop. You don't have to know all the answers. You just have to be willing to start, to show up differently than you have before. But definitely you need to show up for yourself. Let me tell you about one of the boldest financial decisions I made in my early years. It just makes me smile thinking of this purchase. I'll never forget selling the car I bought in high school to pay for college. That zippy cherry red Mustang wasn't just transportation, although I did get my first couple of speeding tickets in it. It really represented freedom, comfort, and pride, all wrapped in shiny metal. I loved that car. But when I bought it, I made a promise to myself that I would sell it when it was time to go to college. The math was simple. I could keep the car and worry about how long I could supplement my college costs, or I could sell it and reduce my stress and financial burden. Giving it up felt like a real loss for sure, but I handled it like a pro because it was my plan all along. Now, no one told me I had to sell it. It wasn't even a conversation with my parents. I wasn't a victim of my circumstances. I was the author of my choice. Honestly, I don't know where this grown-up teenager came from, but I like how she thinks. That moment taught me something I've carried ever since. Money isn't just about what we spend, it's about how we choose. And sometimes choosing long-term growth means letting go of short-term comfort. That decision, giving up something I loved for something I needed, was an act of self-respect. And that's exactly what this episode is about. Learning to make financial decisions from a place of self-respect rather than fear, shame, comparison, or avoidance. Let's have a moment of real talk. If you've been avoiding your bank statements or credit card logins, that's not peace. That's just hitting the delay button. And delay, yeah, it comes with a cost that goes far beyond late fees. It costs you your confidence. Every time you avoid looking, you're telling yourself you can't handle the truth. It costs you clarity. How can you make good decisions about your future if you don't know where you stand today? And it makes small problems turn into overwhelming ones. But here's what really gets me. The mental and emotional energy you spend avoiding is probably more exhausting than just dealing with it would be. This is what I call leaking energy. It's when we continue to use up valuable brain space on our worry instead of action. Here's what I know about life. It will throw curveballs. And we know these things are coming, so why do we act so surprised when they do? I think it's because we've been taught to think of money in emergencies only. Here's the shift I want you to make. Start saving for real life. Not just your dream life. Yes, save for that vacation, but also save for the fact that your car will need maintenance and December will come with gift expectations. You don't need a complicated system. You need awareness, consistency, and the courage to stop turning away and start turning toward your money. Okay, let's talk about your power. The power that comes from being in alignment. Money is a tool, not a personality trait. It's about using it to build a life that reflects who you are and what you stand for. Women drive 70 to 80% of all consumer purchasing decisions in the U.S. You're already moving money every single day. So what would happen if you paired that influence with intention? I think about this when I'm at Walmart or any other store. You know how that goes. You go in for toothpaste and somehow leave with $127 worth of stuff. But what if before you walked in, you paused and asked yourself, what do I actually need today? Why am I here? What purchase would feel aligned with who I'm becoming? When your spending reflects your values, whether that's health, generosity, travel, security, or simplicity, your money becomes an extension of your truth. That's not indulgence, that's integrity. Let's stop pretending self-care only means bubble baths, a glass of bubbly, and yoga classes. True financial self-care is about protecting your peace. And here's what it actually looks like. The first thing is setting up a simple, quote-unquote, life happens fund, or call it what you may. Even a $5 a week contribution builds the habit of preparing instead of just reacting. Number 2, saying no to purchases that don't align with your values. This isn't deprivation, it's clarity, and it feels good. And there's the third piece. Before making any purchase, ask yourself, does this expense reflect who I'm becoming? This one question can transform your relationship with spending. And finally, here's something that might shift everything. What if you stopped accepting that you'll always have a car payment? Every extra dollar you put towards your car loan or mortgage is buying back your freedom, one payment at a time. These aren't punishments, they're acts of self-respect. They say, I matter, my goals matter, my peace definitely matters. When you think about money, is your perspective tight-fisted or open-handed? That lens covers every financial choice you make. And those beliefs? Most of them were planted decades ago. Here's the truth. Most of the money beliefs aren't even ours. They're hand-me-downs from family, culture, and experiences we had when we were too young to question them. You can start speaking a new truth anytime. Like, I have enough for what matters. Or, I'm learning to handle money with confidence. Or, money is a tool that helps me live my values. That's how abundance starts, not in your account, but in your beliefs. And when your beliefs shift, your actions follow. So let's stop waiting for the right time to get organized and start leading ourselves with intention. Here's a couple plans for you to institute right away. The first is your weekly 15-minute of touching base. So you pick the same day, same time, every week. No panic, no shame, just presence. And in these 15 minutes, this is exciting stuff, you guys. It's going to be fun. A little mini weekly party with yourself. You're going to check your bank and credit card balances. You're going to review what's coming up this week. And you're going to look at recent purchases. Were they aligned with your values? And then make any quick adjustments for the next week. You're just becoming more aware of what you're doing weekly. And then the second strategy for you to implement is your monthly CEO meeting. Once a month, block 30 to 60 minutes and review all of your statements. If you find some subscriptions that are wasteful, cancel them. Use that time to go online or call them up and cancel them. Plan for the coming month. And then add to your Life Happens Fund. Monitor that and make sure that you had done that weekly. And then celebrate what went well. This isn't about judging yourself. It's about leading yourself. And here's what I found. The more regularly you do this, the less scary it becomes. Money starts feeling like information instead of a threat. It starts losing its power over you, and you start leading. When you heal your relationship with money, it impacts everything else. Your relationships improve because you're not stressed about finances. Your work improves because you're making decisions from clarity instead of desperation. Your self-confidence improves because you're proving to yourself that you can handle hard things, and they become easier. Here's the bottom line. You don't have to be rich to feel powerful. You just need to be present. Power comes from knowing what you value and aligning your money with those values. It comes from awareness, not avoidance. It also comes from curiosity, not shame. So I'll leave you with this question. Are you ruling your money, or is it ruling you? You have everything it takes to flip that script. You don't have to wait until you have more money to start respecting money. You don't have to wait until you feel ready. You can start exactly where you are. And I'm cheering you on every step of the way. Thank you so much for joining me today on Dim to Daring. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love it if you subscribed, shared it with a friend, or left a review. It helps more women just like you discover the show. Remember, you're not finished yet, you're just getting started. Until next time, keep daring to grow and shine.